Okay, welcome everybody. We are going to discuss the laws of meat and dairy. We probably will conclude the subject today, and we'll focus on the laws of Pesach. After this class, we're going to have a class of Tanya, class of daily Parsha insight, and Geula and Yaakov. So today's discussion is about the time that you have to wait between meat and dairy and meat. So everybody knows, it's a common thing, everybody knows that you're waiting 6 hours from the time that you finish eating meat till the time that you eat dairy. What is the reason? Why do we wait 6 hours? Why not 3 hours or 1 hour? Or why are we waiting at all? So there are two reasons that were written, and the rabbis were concerned about both reasons. Reason number one that we wait between meat and dairy for 6 hours is because of the concern that the fatty flavor of meat remains in the mouth. So it stays in the mouth for a long time. The rabbis decided, debate how long, but the rabbis decided it was accepted to wait for 6 hours. Now there's another reason that the rabbis were concerned that particles, since meat is a little tougher, so it's particles of the meat will remain in your teeth, in your mouth. That's why they gave enough time for it to be washed off. There's also a concern that the fatty meat will remain still in the digestive system, still in the upper digestive system, and this way when you eat if you would eat dairy quickly, not wait a sufficient amount of time, the meat and the dairy would meet together. So this is a very interesting stipulation. It says, when are you allowed to eat dairy after meat is only if you said the last bracha, the bracha achrona. So, for example, if you ate meat at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, there's a big farbrengen or gathering, and the meal continued, you didn't eat meat after 1 o'clock. So, 12:55 to 1 o'clock, you ate meat, about 6 hours, and then you're counting 6 hours, and you want to eat dairy. The only thing is, if you did not say the bracha achrona over meat, if it was part of a big meal, and you ate bread, so you didn't say the grace after meal yet. At 6 o'clock now, 6 o'clock in the evening, and you want to eat dairy, you're allowed to eat dairy, but on one condition, that you said a bracha achrona. Because we're not allowed to eat dairy and meat in the same meal. Even though 6 hours went by, but if you're still under the same meal, what makes you still under the same meal if you didn't say bracha? If you didn't say bracha achrona, the last blessing, then it's considered like you're under the same meal, and you would not be allowed to eat dairy. So in this case, what would you do if you realize you didn't say bracha achrona, you want to eat dairy? Just say the bracha the moment you're done with that bracha. But in a fosha is if you ate, if it was just meat, if it was with bread, obviously the grace after meal. If you ate it with mezainis, with the 5 species of grain, wheat, barley, oats, rye. With those, then you would have to say ala micha, ala kalkola, and so on. So the point is that you have to say bracha achrona in order to be able to go to the next meal. So we have to wait really for two things. You gotta give yourself the 6 hours, number one, and number two, you have to make sure that you said a bracha achrona. Our custom that if you want to eat dairy food, and right after you want to eat meat, you should wait. Meaning Chabad custom is to wait an hour between dairy and meat. But there are some that have the custom just to wash their mouth from the dairy. Sorry, you ate dairy. You wash your mouth, and then you eat, and then they eat meat. Some have the custom for half an hour. It's not mentioned over here, but the prevailing custom is to wait for an hour, and some have the custom to wash their mouth between dairy and meat. So, just to clarify, dairy and meat, an hour, meat and dairy 6 hours. Now, if you ate aged cheese that was aged for 6 months and more, he has to wait also 6 hours between this aged cheese or hard cheese to eating meat. And similarly, if you're eating cheese that has a very strong flavor, like Swiss cheese and the like, high quality cheese, you also have to wait for 6 hours from dairy to meat. So usually you would not have to wait, but in these unique cases of hard cheese, aged cheese, you would have to wait. Now, the second discussion is about washing your dishes in the same sink, dairy and meat. So it says a person that is Yerei Shamayim, is a God-fearing person, should make sure that he should have two sinks in his house, one for dairy, one for meat. So you should not come to wash to wash both of them together. If he has one sink, you should not place the dishes in the sink itself. Rather, you should have some kind of a separation between the dairy and meat, the dairy dishes and the meat dishes, and you should wash the dishes with. You should not wash the dishes with hot water. You should make sure it's cold water. They don't have, I think, 109 Fahrenheit, to try to be under 109 Fahrenheit, 43 Celsius, 109 Fahrenheit. You also should be careful not to pour hot liquid from the dishes to the sink, and you should clean the sink between washing the dairy dishes and then washing the meat dishes. So he'd always have to wash it when he changes from one dish to another, and by doing so he would prevent himself from, by mistake, inadvertently doing a prohibition. But nevertheless, if someone washes his dishes with hot water, or you're pouring hot liquid from the one of the dishes into the sink, he has who to rely on. The only thing is he has to make sure to be careful that when he uses this hot water, that in the sink at that time you should not have dirty dishes from the other type, whether it's meat or dairy. So you have just to clarify it. So you have a dish of let's say a meat pot that still has the juices in it, not necessarily that it has meat, but it has the juice of the meat still boiling. And if you have dairy dishes inside the sink, you should get them out and then wash it. So you don't want the flavor from the meat dishes mixing with the dairy dishes. So that's it for the laws of meat and dairy for now. Obviously, it's a very intricate laws, and there's a lot to learn when it comes to meat and dairy, but it gives you the gist of it. A few ideas of how to handle yourself. You can always go back on the videos to see previous videos that we did about meat and dairy. Bruchim to you. The next video that I'm going to do is the Tanya for today, and then the Parsha, a short video on the Parsha, on Geula, and Yaakov. We'll see you soon.